Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video we're going to recreate the feature of design by Elon Musk. For this we are going to use here Python, OpenCV and MediaPipe. So without wasting any time, let's go on the VS Code. But before, I want to request to all of you, just hit the subscribe button and reach me out on the 20k subscriber, because it's give me motivations to making such kind of tutorial. So now let's go. So right now we are on the VS Code. So now we are going to create here a Python file. Let's call app.py. First, we're going to create here one camera. And after creating one camera, we are going to detect the hand landmark. I mean the hand gesture. And after that, we do some operations in order to zoom in and zoom out, right? So first, we are going to import here the OpenCV. For that, you need to also install this library. In order to install this library, you need to open your command prompt. And you need to type in the CMD. And it will open the command prompt for you. So make sure you install the Python. I'm using Python 3.8.5. So this is my Python version. See if I type here exist, so it will exit from the Python interpreter. So if I try to type here pip install OpenCV Python. So let's say OpenCV Python, and it will install this library on my system. Now using this library, we're going to create here one camera. I'm going to click it to close it. So for that, we need to import here the CB2. Let's say import here the CB2, not OpenCV, right? It's quite different. Then we're going to create here one video capture object so that we can actually access our webcam. So in this case, we can use your attached webcam that is attached on your PC, or you can use here any external. We'll discuss about the both one. So now I'm going to actually initialize here one video capture object. So for that, video equal to cb2 dot video capture. So right now I'm just using my default webcam that attached on my laptop. Then after that, I'm going to use here the Droid cam. How can you use that and access your webcam from the other side? Let's say you have the external webcam, or if you can also use your mobile phone, right? So I'm going to pass here 0 right now. And you need to create here one while loop. So this should be the infinite, and it will actually return me video.read. So video.read. So when I actually read the video using this video capture object, it will return me two value. One is the red. Red is nothing but a boolean value. That's mean your webcam is accessible or not. And another one is a frame. That's mean your frame, right? And after that, we need to actually show the frame. So for that, you're going to use here cb2.imshow. And I'm going to pass here my frame name. I mean my window name. So let's give here the frame and also frame. Well, then what I can do here, we're going to give here one keybit binding function so that we can stop the frame. So let's say cb2.waitKey. So waitKey, I'm going to pass here the 1, that's infinite 1, and assign into one variable that's called k. So if anyone press q from the keyboard, that's what it's called the keyboard binding functions. So if k equal to ord, right, we're going to press q from the keyboard, and this infinite loop will be break. Let's say try to write break. Wait. So I'm going to press S from the keyboard and to save the code. You can also use here the auto save mode. Right now you can see on VS Code auto save mode is right now on. So if I run the code here, and it will open my default webcam. So webcam access is allowed. Okay, fine. You can see here access webcam access is right now allowed. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to access my mobile phone. I mean this mobile phone, right? This mobile phone webcam. So for that, I need to use here a library that's called a Droid cam, right? So if I press Q from the keyboard, it will automatically go. So right now in my case, Droid cam is actually on right now. So if I go on here, so let's say this is my Droid cam, right? So right now you can see a Droid cam is right now on. So you need to also install this library, Droid cam client, and after that also install this library from the Play Store on your mobile phone. You can also install it for the iOS also. So just make sure you just actually access the webcam using this Droid cam. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to pass here 1 in order to access the webcam from my mobile phone so that it looks better. You know, the PC webcam is not so good. Now you can see it looks very better, right? Better than before, right? So this is how you can access your webcam from your mobile phone, this mobile phone, and also the webcam, right? Now what I'm going to do here, you're going to detect the hand. You're going to detect the hand, this hand and this hand, right and the left. So for that, you're going to use here one library that's called the MediaPipe, right? But in this case, we are not actually using this to actually making this. We're going to use here another library that is done by the Murtaza Hassan sir. I'm just going to using this library. It's called the CB zone, right? So it's easy to creating these kind of applications easily. You don't need to write much more amount of code in order to detect the hand, but you can personally do it using MediaPipe. So I'm going to import it from CB zone, but make sure to install this library. Again, just open your command prompt and type here pip install, let's call install CB zone, right? So this is the library. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to import from CB zone dot hand tracking. I'm going to import here the hand detector, right? So for that, I'm going to use here CB zone dot, that's called hand tracking module. So actually, it is one module that's created by the Murtaza Hassan sir, so that you can easily accessible that kind of module from the CB zone. That's quite impressive one. So import, I'm going to import here. Okay, let's close it right now. So I'm going to import here the hand, yes, hand tracking module. I'm going to import here the hand detector because we are focusing on the hand, right? So now what I'm going to do here, now I'm going to pass my frame inside my detector. So for that, I need to also create here the object of the detector. So let's say I'm going to initialize here the hand detector, and I'm going to pass here my detection confidence, you can say detection confidence. Let's give here 50% confidence, right? I'm going to pass it inside my detector. Just initialize one object for that. Now I'm going to use this detector to in order to detect my hand. So for that, I'm going to use here the detector dot. Let's say we have the let's say call find hands. So this find hands, I will pass my frame, right? And this hand detector actually return here two value. One is the hands and another one is nothing but your frame. So let's say image, right? So now if I'm trying to run the code and see that it is really work or not, let's try to run the code here and see that yes, you can see the right hand and the left hand detect correctly. Just one single line of code is detect the hand, right? So now what we're going to do here, we are going to just detect the center, right? Detect the center of our hand, and when that center of the hand like that, I mean position of the hand like that, we are going to do some scaling, and based on the scale, we are going to zoom in and the zoom out of the scene, of the blender scene or mesh lab scene, 3D file like that, right? Understand? Okay, let's understand it again, right? So well, now we are going to discussing about the plans of attack. That's mean how can we actually solving this whole problem, right? So we already detect the two hand landmark, right? One for let's say this should be the left, and let's make this on should be the right. Detect the two hand. So in the each hand, it have the value starting from 0 and ends on 20. That's mean it have 21 value. So we are interested on center of the hand, right? Center of the hand. That's called the plum, right? So so using the plum, we can actually calculate the scale, right? Let's say this is nothing but a scale. Now, based on the scale value, we are going to zoom in and the zoom out, right? So this should be the scale, right? So based on the scale value, we are going to zoom in and the zoom out. Now the questions is when we actually calculate the distance or the scale value. So when the two finger, the tip of the finger of the thumbs and the I mean for number 4 and the number 8 value are true, then we prepare from zoom gesture, right? We are preparing for the zoom gesture. So when we actually finger number 8 of the tip, right, and the tip of the finger 4, I mean number 8 and the number 4 is detected, then we can calculate the distance from the each hand. And after calculating the distance, we are going to calculate the scale. And now based on the scale, we are going to do the scrolling. So how can you do the scrolling? So we can actually access the mouse in the keyboard using one Python library that's called py02gy, right? So using this, we can actually do the scrolling. Then we have a method is called a scroll. Then we can simply pass here my value of the scale. Now, based on the scale value, it will zoom in and the zoom out, zoom in and the zoom out. Then we can use here a application that's called Blender or you can use 3D view, or you can use the mesh lab, right? Based on the system requirement, you can use any of the application. By default, 3D view available inside the Windows. So I am using the Blender and also the mesh lab, and see that how can it load one OBZ model and also do the feature of design like Elon Musk do. Now, without any further ado, now let's go on the coding part again. Well, so it detect the right hand and also the left hand. Now, what we need to know, we need to calculate the scale value. So for that, we need to detect the two hand, right? I mean, two hand is available inside the frame. Then we can actually calculate the scale value. So for that, we need to keep your own condition so that two hand is detected. Then you can actually say that zoom gesture is detected, right? So now what I can do here, we are going to see that if the length of the hands, so let's say hands is equal to, that's mean two hand is detected, then now we can actually zoom in and zoom out. So let's try to print it out. So let's say try to print here zoom possible, or let's say zooming is possible. Zooming is possible, right? So if I try to save it and try to run the code here and see the output, you can see here I know you say zoom is possible, it's two hand, right? If one hand, it's not quite possible, right? Because we cannot actually calculate the scale below. So that's why zoom is possible right now. I mean, two hand is detected. Now what I can do, we can simply detecting the tip of the 8 number and also the 5 number, right? So for that, what I'm gonna do here, I mean thumbs of the tips, right? So for that, we need to use here the detector. So let's say call detector dot, I'm going to use here my finger ups, and I'm going to pass here my hands, right? I'm going to pass my hands value of 0, and I'm trying to print it out. Let's say I'm trying to print it. I'm trying to print here the two value. Let's call detector dot finger ups, and I'm going to pass here my hands 1, right? So let's now try to save it and see the value, right? So now it's working. Okay, now you can see here all the values right now 111. Now you can see here how I'm actually making this kind of shape. You can see here values right now 1 1, and rest of them 3 are 0, right? So we are just interesting on this one. So how it will actually 1 1 1 0 0 0, then we can actually do the zooming part, right? Then zoom is possible. Then we can calculate the scale value between them. Right now you can see here actually 1 1 1. It's right now it's not possible. It's not possible. How in the shape it looks like that, that it can be possible to actually calculate the scale value. Now based on the scale value, you're going to access the mouse, right? Without touching hands. Well, so now let's see this out. How can you actually do that? So for that, we are going to give here on conditions. So let's say if it should be if detector fingerless hands. Okay, this should be the end. Okay, I should be the end. So hands are nothing but equal to the list called 1 comma 1 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0, right? So this is detected our fingers are we pass it the hand 0 equal to and equal, and also the 1 equal to we're going to pass here 1 comma 1 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0. Then we can actually zoom in and the zoom out, right? So now we're going to print it. Zoom gesture is detected. Let's zoom gesture detected, right? Like that. Okay, so now if I'm trying to run the code here, just run it. I run this file multiple times so that we can see it practically. Okay, now okay, well, so you can see here right now the left hand, the right hand, but when I am trying to make the shape, now you can see a zoom gesture detected. Now it's working fine. That's cool, really. So now what we're gonna do, we can do calculate the scale, right, between them. Then we can actually zoom in and zoom out in the Blender or meshes like Elon Musk, right? So now what I'm gonna do here, we're going to simply create here one variable. So let's say call start distance. So right now first make it should be none, and also one scale value. So initially we pass it here 0. Let's say when the start distance is nothing but 0, none. So we're going to calculate the length info, and also the we get here the image. It's nothing but that calculate the distance from the each point. Okay, so I am going to actually if uh, if the start length, start dist, I mean start this is none, that's mean right now we just actually starting this one. We are going to calculate the distance using my detector. So let's say call detector dot find distance. Okay, we if we need to pass here my hands, so we need to pass here my hands. I'm just going to pass it my hands and also my center below, right? Also my center, let's say this is called center, right? Detected or find distance, I'm going to pass here my hands dot center, and also I need to pass here my center of my hand one, so it should be the hands one, and I need to pass here the center. Okay, well, and now using this we can actually access it. So this is nothing but an image. We can simply access the distance from the each point. So let's run the code here. I'm just running the code again and again so that you can see it practically. So now you can see here the distance is right now calculating, right? But how we actually make this out like that. Now you can see here it's not actually removing this distance, I mean this not data point, right? We need to also remove it, we need to also remove it, right? So for that we wanted to do, when the scale is not none, we again calculating this one, right? So let's try to do this out. But you can see here right now it detected, but when the two is one, it is called, it is center, right? You can see that this center of the center of the hand, right? That's it, that's awesome, that we discuss on the pat. So now what we're going to do here, we are going to simply store it inside my start d equal to length, right? This is nothing but my land. So it will actually give me here the three value, so length, and we have our info, and it also return here one image, right? So going to store it inside this land, and when it's not actually detected, and we need to also do it, I mean when the study distance is not none, we also need to calculate this one, then we can actually calculate the scale value. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to calculate a scale value. So initially a scale value is nothing but 0. So let us scale equal to, we're going to actually minus it from the actual length to the start distance, and we are going to divide it by 2, and we need to convert it into the integer format because it give me the floating point number. So that's why we actually convert it, I mean typecasting, and calculate the scale value for that. Now we are going to print here my scale value. So let's say I'm going to print here my scale value. So if this is happen, if this is happen, then what I can do, we simply print here the scale. And if the hand, I mean two hand is not detected, then we can making the scale distance should be none, and scale should be also the none. So otherwise we're going to making this scale distance. So this is a scale. Okay, this is called the scale. We will making the scale should be the 0, and also the start distance. So let's call it start distance. So start distance also be none, right? Now if we're trying to save it and try to run the code from here and see that output. Okay, now you can see detected correctly, but it's not gone yet. Let's see what actually happening here. Any error, right? So let's see this one. So well, it's not actually detecting this one correctly. It's just showing up for the all the finger. So because of, we just need to put this condition inside the detector. But when the two finger is detected, I mean, it is satisfies its condition, then it actually calculating the scale value, right? But right now it is also calculating for all of this one. Now you can see here it's not detected, but when actually making this kind of uh, I mean gesture, see detected, right? Now you can see here it actually give me the scale value. You can see here right now scale value changes. Okay, let's try to uh, make this as count out. I run this code again, and you can see it correctly. Just wait. Now you can see here scale value is right now minus, and you can see here minus, and now you can see here positive, right? Right. So now using the scale value, we can access. I mean, we're going to make the feature of design by Elon Musk like that. So now let's see how can you do that. So well, so let's now using here a library. It's called the pi02 GUI. So for that, I need to also import it to, in order to actually access the mouse and the keyboard. So you're going to use here the pi02 GUI. So this is the library. Now we are going to create here one try and accept block. So let's say try. So we're going to when it's detected, we calculate the scale value. So we're going to pass it inside my pyre to GUI dot scroll. So why scroll actually? Because in Blender, when you are running, try to scroll it. When you scroll it, it will actually zoom in, and when you scroll down, it will actually zoom up. So now based on the scale value, we're just going to zoom in and the zoom out. Except you're going to make here should be the pass. So let's say so that it don't give me any error. So let's make it pass, right? So now let's go into Blender and try to load our rocket obj file and try to see something that how can I actually load it out, and also how can I zoom in and zoom out using first our using our mouse, and after that we're going to using our hand gesture, right? So well, so this is the rocket. This is the obj file. Don't worry on that. I'll put this file link in the description. Make sure you install the Blender, right? So this is how you can see here how I am actually using my mouse wheel. It will zoom in and zoom out. Now using this, I am going to actually zoom in and zoom out this whole rocket, right? Now I'm going to run the code and I'll show you that how can you do it, right? So for that I need to minimize this one, and after that I need to also run the code, right? So well, so now this is nothing but my file. Now I'm going to run the code from here, and it will open the webcam. Well, so now I'm going to open my Blender. Well, so this is my frame. Now you can see here, this is my phone. Now you can see here, it's not actually working. But why? First, you need to click on here, click on the Blender so that you need to select it right now. Now, when I actually open my hand, I mean, when I actually show my hand, right now, one hand is detected. So it's not anything has happening inside my Blender. But when I up two finger and do the position of the gesture, now you can see here, zoom in and zoom out, right? So how cool is it? Again, you can see here, zoom. Okay, now I'm going to use here scale. I mean, just decreasing the scale. Now you can see how cool is it, zoom in and the zoom out, right? Right. Again, see how cool is it. It's also working smooth in the mesh lab because Blender is too heavy to load any objects file. And also my recording is actually on here. So that's why. See how cool is it. So let's try this out and also in the mesh lab. Cool. That's really working fine. Well, so now see how I actually just rise on one hand. It's not actually zoom in and zoom out, right? Right. So this is how it's work. Now we're going to test it out in another software that's called the MeshLab. It's not so heavy to actually do that, but Blender is so heavy, right? Well, so this is the MeshLab 2022. Just go on here and import the mesh, and this is available in my download folder. And this is nothing but mesh, right? So this is how my rocket looks like. Okay, so what we are going to do here, actually we just simply using this rocket and zoom in and the zoom out, right? This simple rocket thing. So now let's try to do that also in the mesh labs. So well, I'm going to run the code here again, and it will open the webcam. Now you can see it open the webcam. Now what I'm going to do here is simply select this one, I mean this application. Now you can see your left hand and the right hand is right now on the scenes. Now I'm going to making this gesture. Now you can see here it looks very better than Blender. How smoothly it work, right? Cool. In Blender, it's not, it's so heavy, but in MATLAB it's working really fine. You can see here how it looks like the Elon Musk scene. Right. So that's it for today now. Boom. So hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and make sure to subscribe to the channels, and don't forget to hit the bell icon and help me to reach out in the 50K subscriber. Right. It's just for you. It's just for you. So I'll be back with another tutorial. So till then, take care and bye bye.